Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Shubha Sandhya Vak. It's Sunday, 6 o'clock today. And we are basically Sri Lankans talking for Sri Lankans. And if you have anything of national benefit, if your experience helps national benefit, then please do share your expertise with us. And if you want to, please write to the email below admin@srilankaleads.com. So අපි සිංහලෙන් හරි දෙමළෙන් හරි ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් we hybrid, we use the language, so you can talk in any language for your participation. Right, now we had on the 3rd of December, we had a workshop planning meeting, which was well attended by about 15 people. And they cast quite a lot of interest in conducting the workshops that we planned. So I'm just going to give a summary of the outline, basically to inform you what will happen on this workshop on 14th January 2023, and also to seek you or your contribution in this. So this is a hybrid workshop, so it will be person to person will be present. Some people will be present on site in Magona, and some people will join by online Zoom. So there'll be participants. You can allow a maximum of 100 participants for the workshop. So there are two workshops, as I said, that we've planned. The first one is risk management. That's actually mainly for children. So this is the idea that came along when we discussed on the 3rd what we should do. So we cannot complete everything that we wanted to do. So we'll have to do a series of workshops. So I've selected few topics from what we discussed that we can put an outline or at least an introduction to those. So children's risk management. Risk management වලට now මොකද ගොඩක් අය කිව්වා we want to talk about water safety in Sri Lanka because හැමදාම there's some reports saying somebody, a child who's went on a holiday or went on a trip or something and drowning and dying. So water safety is one main thing that people want to discuss. So I would invite 3 speakers for 1 hour. That's 20 minutes each, and this will be exactly on time because this is a hybrid workshop, and so can speak about safety. So if you are interested, just let me know what you will talk about water safety. This is mainly because there's a lot of every day there's a child or someone dying because of drowning in Sri Lanka and how to sort this problem. Then the next hour in the children's workshop in the afternoon will be dedicated for road safety, which is also a major issue in Sri Lanka. About 9 people die on the roads every day. And for every person who dies, there are about 10 people who are injured one way or the other. So that is the kind of incidents that we have in Sri Lanka. So road safety is a major issue, and we need to talk about that. So I'll invite 3 speakers for that in a kind of an interactive session on this afternoon. Again, addressed for children who are kind of O-level and A-level. So it has a very simple understanding level. Then from 4 to 5:30, this will be a resuscitation session. So we'll be teaching basic life support for children on this, and that will be a hands-on skill development workshop. And this is already kind of arranged, but if you're willing, please come forward. Then the adults workshop is in the morning. Now this is, we will probably need registration for this if you're participating, but I'll let you know about that. So the first 15 minutes at 8 will be just a general description about workshop objectives and what we are doing. And 9 to 10, I'll invite speakers, 3 speakers, to talk about something that they are doing or will need to be done in relation to the topics that we discussed: education, solar energy or tech, women's inclusion, human rights, and leadership. So there'll be 3 speakers, 20 minutes each, talking about a subject or what they are doing for national benefit in relation to any of these areas. Then 10 to 11, we will be talking about electoral reform, why, what, and when. Again, 3 speakers, interactive, and we've already discussed this in length. So we will have this activity. Then the 4th is just a half an hour break, but that will be an area for the audience to speak up. And that will be a Q&A session, which will go on in parallel to tea break as well. Then 11:30 to 12:30 will be economic literacy. That's the talk that we are starting today, but that will go on for further discussion on that. Again, 3 speakers for that, if possible, who can interact with the audience and then answer their questions, which is, I think, highly relevant in Sri Lanka at the moment. So 12:30 to 1 o'clock will be, again, the audience to speak up, and it's a Q&A session. So it's a whole day work down in Magona, and please do join if you can as a person or by Zoom. So the workshop, any comments at the moment from the audience? I'll take up any comments at the moment from the audience, and then we will take it from there. Any comments at the moment? Anybody raise hands? Ajanta, you are there. Anything, Ajanta, you want to කියන්න තියෙනවද Ajanta?
සුබ සන්ධ්‍යාවක් වේවා සියලු දෙනාටම. අවුස් අපි ස්ථානීය විදියට මූලික වැඩ කටයුතු ටික සූදානම් කරගෙන ඉන්නවා. නමුත් කිව්වා වගේ සම්පූර්ණ වැඩසටහන පිළිබඳ අපි තවදුරටත් සාකච්ඡා කරමින් ප්‍රායෝගිකව කොහොමද කරන්න කියන කාරණාව මතු කරන්න පුළුවන්. අපි කණ්ඩායමක් විදියට මේ වැඩේ ඉතා හොඳට අපේ අරමුණට අනුව සංවිධානය කරගන්න වැඩ කටයුතු සූදානමින් ඉන්නවා අපි. මේ වෙනකොට දරුවන්ගේ වැඩෙත් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. ඒ අයත් සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා. අපි යෝජනා කරගෙන තියෙනවා ඒ භූමිය සහ ශාලාව පාවිච්චි කරන් ප්‍රායෝගිකව උදාහරණයක් විදිහට රෝඩ් සේෆ්ටි වගේ එකකදී අපි සමහර සලකුණු ඒ වගේම අර කහයිරි විවිධ දේවල් බයිසිකල් වගේ ප්‍රායෝගික දේවල් භාවිතා කරමු කියලා මේ වැඩසටහනට දරුවන්ට වඩාත් ඒක ක්‍රියාකාරී මට්ටමට ගේන්න.
Yeah. Oh, අජන්ත මම outline එක මම එවන්නම්. මම දැන් අද පෙන්නපු outline එක. ඒකේ මම සමහර අය දැන්ටමත් කැමති වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මම ඒක විස්තර එවන්නම්. Okay, any other comments? Thank you, Ajant. Right, okay. So now we'll go to speaker. Now, there was a big demand to form our audience to learn financial literacy during the last sessions. And so the financial literacy is an important subject, particularly in Sri Lanka, because that will make people think again when they vote for different manifestos or at elections and so on, because this part is never thought about. And that's where we have completely gone wrong in Sri Lanka as well. So this is why we are talking, and so this is better termed, it's not financial literacy. I was told that it is best termed as economic literacy. So that's the term that we are going to use for this discussion, because it's not a small topic. And today is only the part 1 of this title. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Walter Gunathilaka. And he is an educator. So he has a PhD from University of Greenwich for corporate governance, and also he's a senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy in the United Kingdom. And he's a member of the British Academy of Management, and he's got teaching experience in the University in London and Falmouth University in England, and Faculty of Management, University of Jawaharlal as well. So furthermore, he's got financial services experience from Bank of Ceylon. He's worked there for 6 years. But he will introduce more when he starts speaking. So I will stop here And thank you for joining, and I will share his slides in a minute. Thank you.
Professor Chula. Thank you for the very good introduction of me, and I'm humbled to start. And financial literacy is a part and parcel of economic literacy. Therefore, I thought, as you suggested me, that we start from a very small beginning. So I thought giving some kind of basic ideas about the economic concepts. Actually, therefore, I went through a number of textbooks where I could find some small kind of slides detailing about the economy. So I found a useful textbook. So at the same time, when I am going through this explanation of the basic things in the economic analysis, I'll be getting examples from the developed countries as well as from developing countries, especially integrating the subject of economies in the context of Sri Lankan experience. So therefore, we'll go to see the other slides, please.
Okay, next one.
So introducing economics is very important subject for everybody, as we all know, but for us, it is important to understand the basic things about an economy. What is an economy? How do we understand it? And what is our contribution? What do we expect from an economy? And though these are the very basic things for an economy, is all of us know, is all about economic distribution of the resources we have and income we have among all the participants, employment, prices, and selling, marketing. So many things are discussed in economics, and without some fundamental theories of economics, we will not be able to understand the working of an economy. Economics is usually divided into two parts as microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is very, very important. Now we talk about various kind of industry in Sri Lanka: dairy industry, fishing industry, garments industry, and vegetable and other farming activities. Those are all micro units. And so if we take again more examples from a particular economic activity, say garments industry, we have cottage industry, we have ready-made garment industry, we have export-oriented garment industry, and so those are all micro units. If we talk about the larger part of the economies, it is macroeconomies. We want to know whether our country is growing day by day, month by month, year and year, and that is called economic growth. At the same time, we want to see our people getting employment. So we want to see the data of employment year by year, how it is growing and whether it is growing and so on. That is all called macroeconomics. Macro means the larger part of the economics. So when we are understanding about our micro parts, microeconomic sectors, then we can talk about the national production, national income, money and banking activities, and so on. That's called macroeconomics. Now, people in the country, in Sri Lanka, is not happy about the economy. Why? There is no growth, there is no distribution of the results of the economic activities, fair distribution, and there is a problem of foreign exchange earnings, and there's a shortage of imported items. That's all discussed as macro factors. So therefore, we want to understand the definition or the division of the economy into micro and macro. Very important, that understanding for us to see what we can do in the future. Shall we go to the next slide, please? So what do economists study? Economists meet the people who are concerned about the growth of the economy, distribution of economy, exchange income, and so on. So they study various economic data, as I said, microeconomic part, the growth of the particular industrial units, particular agricultural units, services units, and so on. They will be studying individual economic units of the country. At the same time, they study altogether the economic growth, development of the whole economy, development of the populational parameters, as well as income distribution among the people. So we talk about so many things like cost of living. Day-to-day life is difficult in Sri Lanka now. Cost of living is very high. Prices going up very high. And so we are discussing about all these things. So the people who discuss all these things are called as economists. So they discuss with a particular theoretical understanding as well as with a practical approach to find solutions for those things. So those kind of people are called economists. Now, as you know, many politicians talk about economy in Sri Lanka in the parliament, but they are not thorough with the subject of economies, subject of discussion they are going to talk about always. But there are very few like Dr. Harsun de Silva and so on. They are speaking about the real economy side. So we all have to understand about, therefore, microeconomics, how individual units of an economy work. At the same time, what is their contribution for the national income and exports and imports, as well as for the consumption of the people. So shall we go to the other slides, please? So economic problems, scarcity. So we all have economic problems. Economic problems is we don't have the adequate production. You all know in the country now, production is at a very big problem stage. There is no raw material, there is no labor, a lot of skilled people are going abroad, who are going to work in other countries, and consumption, people have a lot of problems. They don't meet 3 square meals a day sometimes, many a times according to my understanding. So many people are finding a lot of difficulties of buying essential things for the day-to-day life. So always in economies, we see scarcity is one of the problems in any economy. In developed economies like UK, America, or Japan, Australia, New Zealand, they are considered as developed countries, but still they have problems. They don't have enough resources. So scarcity is one of the problems, but we have to sort out these things. We have to manage the economy. That is the job of the economists, to suggest to the political platform or politicians. We'll go for the other one, please. I explained on that all. So macroeconomic issues, as I said earlier, the beginning also, growth is also important. And I have detail here for a person who want to read the slides. Now, Dr. Chula, I explained this growth, and in the recent years, for example, during the COVID-19 pandemic season, we all have seen the damage done for the economy by external factors like COVID-19. So it has contracted the economic activities among the suppliers, among the consumers, among the employers, among the employees as well as. So therefore, it has a very big impact for the growth, annual growth of the countries, not just in Sri Lanka, but in other countries as well. We have seen in the UK so many problems. It created a lot of unemployment, and people were given some kind of support from the government here in the UK, And in Sri Lanka also, I saw and I heard lot of support, but not adequate enough to meet the cost of living. So shall we discuss few more things? If we, inflation is another important concept. Day by day, prices are rocketing prices. It's called galloping prices. Because today, if we go to the market, is 75 pound, 75 rupees. Yesterday it was 50 rupees, 75 rupees. And in 100, in few days time, it will go to 100 rupees. So it's a problem. So all of these economic problems in the country affect our exports and imports. Exports mean when the prices go up in the domestic production, we cannot export. We are unable to be competitive in the world market. World market is the place where all the importers and exporters come across and meet and decide the prices. For example, tea, garments. When the prices of production, domestic production going up, is difficult to export, difficult to compete with other countries. For example, tea market. There are many other tea exporters, Uganda, Kenya, and China, India, they are exporting. Our price is going up. Our cost of production has going up. Always is going up because people are difficulty. People face a lot of difficulties to live. As a result, they demand higher salaries. So the employers have to pay salaries, and as a result, the price is going up. So as a result, finally, what happens is it affects the export prices. And so therefore, we are losing our market a lot. And when we lose our markets, we have no foreign exchange coming. Therefore, we are unable to import. Now, thanks to some of the people working in Middle East countries, we get some foreign exchange. As a result, at the moment, some kind of ability is there to import some raw materials required for the industry and required for the general public to consume. So they are put at the moment little bit of management, but that is not enough. So we have a balance of trade problem for so many years, and we'll be able to sort out these problems if the IMF is giving us a loan facility in the near future to restructure the economy. We'll see the other slides also, please. So cyclical fluctuations, these are at the same time I said, these will be okay sometimes. Therefore, there are always economic cycle. There's a boom period, sluggish period, and so always economy is interacting with the global economy. Now see, garments industry in Sri Lanka is heavily dependent on raw materials from China, from Hong Kong, and so on. All the other industries also same. Therefore, whenever the prices go up in those countries, we have to import at a higher price. Therefore, always cycles are there. No, not a single economy has a stabilization on a particular smooth curve. So there are ups and downs in any economy. And when something like COVID-19 has affected that cycle, we could see so many ways: unemployment, creation, inflation, and so on. So macroeconomic policy, therefore, the scientists as well as the economists have to work out for the development of the country. They all have to get together to develop a very good macroeconomic policy. And that is creation of employment opportunities, creation of income opportunities, creation of a situation where there is no inflation. So those are the things called macroeconomic policy environment. That's the responsibility of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, as well as the monetary, as well as the fiscal authority, that is the Ministry of Finance. That is, they handle the fiscal policy. That's the tax policy. So tax policy and the monetary policy handled by the central bank. They both have to sit together and work out for a very good macroeconomic policy. Policy framework is required. For economists have a vital task to understand that, as well as a contribution, understanding how the economy works, how the global economy works. Otherwise, it's not be possible. We'll go for the other, please. So, yes. So microeconomic issues, as I said, what do we cultivate? How do we do it? How many people to get benefit? Now, for the example, in the utilization of land in Sri Lanka, always there is a question whether farmers get the adequate acreage to cultivate, and whether they are supported adequately by the government, and whether their production is consumed by the people or sold to all the Sri Lankans. So we see always there's an excess production in Polonnaruwa, Anuradhapura, and then the excess production, there is no way of storage, no way of transporting other places in the country, or there is no any export. Now we see so many things are coming to London and other markets in UK from India and other countries, so many vegetables coming, nothing is coming from Sri Lanka, unfortunately. So we have to make some kind of choices. How do we produce? What do we produce? How do we produce? All of these are economic decisions. So the government, as well as the economic planners, as well as the farming community, they all have to contribute. But unfortunately in Sri Lanka, what is happening is only the politicians or the people who are in the head office, in the places where they take decisions, they are not integrating with the rural economy. That is what we have seen always for so many years now. Since 1970s, I have been seeing. 1970s, I have been reading the same thing. There's a very big gap between the planning and the actual situations. Yes, please. So therefore, we have to understand that we have a kind of sacrifice sometimes when we are going to sacrifice the production now for some other benefit. So we have to see that we be able to cultivate paddy or vegetables or some other items at the expense of some other item. That is called opportunity cost. Now, for example, what is the opportunity cost of engaging in this workshop? Now, if I am not engaging in this workshop, I'll be allocating my time for some other thing. So at the same time, all of you will be allocating your time for some other thing. Maybe if we value it in monetary terms, that will be more or less. So that is the opportunity cost. So always economists have to look at the opportunity cost. That is what we have missed in Sri Lanka, I believe. Economists are not geared to look at, and economists and bureaucrats, they all get together and see their personal benefits. I'm sorry to tell you, that is what we see in the newspapers as well. So politicians, bureaucrats, as well as economists, some of the opportunist economists are not doing their job of economist, but doing some other, getting some other private gains. The collaboration between politicians, bureaucrats, and economists. So there is no any rational economic decision making as a result. Rational economic decision means what is required for the economy, what is required for the people, how should we do it. That all has to be done sincerely, honestly. So at the moment, by all kind of stories we see, by the news, day by day news, politicians and the bureaucrats and some of the business people also, along with some of the macroeconomists, also engage in their own benefit rather than considering about the opportunity cost and benefits for the people. That is, I hope that was understood by my. So this one, I'm not going to talk about marginal cost and marginal benefits. These are economic concepts. Marginal cost mean always whenever we are producing one more unit, there we have to spend some money. So it has to be always less than the marginal benefit. Marginal benefit means what is the net gain we get by doing one more unit of production. So always marginal cost must be less than marginal benefit in order to make a economy successful. Shall we go to the other, please? So microeconomic benefits always is objectives. I said now you look at microeconomic activities in the fishing industry in Sri Lanka. Do we have adequate production of fishing? No, not at all. And they are robbed by Indian trawlers are coming. So therefore, there's no any kind of efficiency in the production and the allocation of those economic resources. So many other people are coming and exploiting our economic resources. This is not only in the fishing industry, but in the allocation of land, allocation of capital even. Sometimes some big business people get billions of money from the banking sector. Now, I do not want to tell you the names of some MPs. They have taken billions. They are not repaying the bank. Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank are becoming the captors or the captive sources for them to get money, and they are using for their own private purposes rather than for the development of their microeconomic units, garment factories, and so on. So we are not happy about that. As economists, we cannot be happy at all. Yes. So we need to be equitable. Equity is a concern of the economists always, but it is not at the moment. Equitable distribution of economic resources, production resources, and so on is a problematic statement always we see in the economy, in newspapers and all. So let's go and see so as I said now, social implications of choice, and now see the Aragala is a result of this implication. Our youth, very good number of youth, resourceful with latest knowledge, exposure to the country, exposure to the world, and various kind of knowledge, technical knowledge and subject knowledge. We see a lot of resources among our people, among our youth, but they have no choice. They are, unfortunately, we have to see that this is happening always. There is no choice for them, but they have to depend on either government jobs or something else, because there are no choices. In a developed country, there are so many choices. And students here working in so many sectors of the economy, if they are not happy in one job, they are in a position to move to another job. In our country, unfortunately, always the graduates have to depend on the government, most of the graduates, especially arts graduates. There is no choice. Arts degrees, there are no choices, just given choice, given number of. So these are the problems of having limited resources. I think that is the problem. The universities do not have enough money, and maybe they don't have the knowledge also to develop the required courses to support the economy and so on. There are a lot of social implications of their own choices as a result. We see some others, please. So in economy, we can see this curve is a theoretical explanation of the abilities of an economy. Let us let us assume, always economists assume, economics is all about assumptions. We base our decisions on assumptions. Let us assume that we need only clothing and food in our economy, nothing else. If we have to decide production of food, how many units we want to produce, from 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million to 8 million. So if we allocate all of our economic resources only to produce food, we can produce 8 millions. Then we don't have to we don't do any production of clothing. Clothing production will be zero, but people need both food as well as clothing. So there are various possibilities. The 7 million of food and 2.2 million of clothing. Likewise, these are the possibilities. Now another one is 6 million of food and 4 million of clothes. So now see the capital we have to use to a certain production within a certain production possibility curve. So we can maximize production in an economy using the resources available. So when we are able to do that, we will be able to shift our production possibility. Either we develop more food or produce more food, or less clothing, or is more clothing, or is less food, and so on. So we have alternative ways of doing this. So we in Sri Lanka, for example, land, how do we divide land among food production, dairy farming, then playground, then a school building, then another, say, hospital complex. All of these are required by the society. So how do we divide the 5 acre we have? Something like that production possibility, we have to make rational decision. So at the moment when we see the deforestation in the country, damage done to Singaraja forest and so on, do we have a kind of understanding about the benefits and cost of allocation, all that? So we have a question about that. So we always question politicians and the bureaucrats, as well as some of the provincial politicians as well. So they engage not in optimization of the resources, but for private consumptions, right? So shall we go to the other, please? So these are various possibilities, A, B, C, all these dots, or various kind of possibilities, X. So what the curve shows. So if we go beyond this one, production possibility curve, if we go beyond this one to the right side, that means that a wonderful opportunity to increase more and more production. That means, say, this dot, second dot on the left corner is going towards this side. So we are expanding our abilities. So at the moment, what is happening is we are within this boundary. Our economy is contracted, not active. Therefore, we are not touching this curve at all. We are in within the production boundary curve, means we are not doing our best. For example, now see, fishing industry, I take this opportunity to get that example, fishing opportunity. Not at all sees all that. We are surrounded by the big ocean, but we are not going. So we have the time to get, we have the need to get more and more fish production, but we are not. So this is what is explained within the boundary. So when we are trying to invest more, educate our youth, more skill development, they will expand this curve. In the next slides, we will be able to show it. Can we go to that, please? I'm speeding, I think. Yes. Increasing. Yes. One more. Some more, please. So this is, yes. So I explained this one. We need both, and now we point, that is underutilization of our economic resources. We produce this much of food and this much of clothing, but our ability is shown by the production possibilities curve. Why are we underutilized? Because we don't have the investment, we do not have the ability to import raw materials or machinery, we do not have the technical knowledge, therefore we are not producing food or clothing to our maximum possibility. That is the biggest cry in the country nowadays. Farmers, for example, need fertilizer, need tech know-how, need the knowledge, need pesticide, but they are not given. And the garment industry, they are talking about the lack of raw materials, lack of technical skills, almost lot of sewing girls, experienced girls. They are going to Maldives Islands, they are going to Middle East countries, and so on. Therefore, there are a lot of problems. And so therefore, we are within the production possibility curve, within the ability of the production in the local economy. So unfortunately, this is the situation. And when lot of intellectuals and experienced people, now I heard more than 100 medical specialists are leaving the country. So therefore, there will be a very gap of knowledge, ability to serve the community, and educate, ability to serve or educate the younger generation, younger medical students, and so on. So these are the problems of our economy. So this one is solving that kind of a situation by the point V. If we expand this one gradually towards the PP curve, production possibility curve X, then we will be utilizing this much of food and this much of clothing. Then we are seeing our economy is geared to produce the required items, required things for the entire population. So at the moment, none of our economic activities in Sri Lanka are in that kind of a level. There are so many gaps, so many issues to sort out. So we'll see that, please. I hope that was understood. Any comments, please? Anything to tell me, please, by the audience?
Can I put a short question? The opportunity
Yeah.
cost. So, in for example, medicine, if you get a disaster or patient who is bad, we have an initial rescue plan, and then you have a
Yeah.
long-term recovery plan and rehabilitation. So
Yeah.
likewise, how can we do it for Sri Lankan economy if you take the opportunity cost that you described?
Yeah, we have to see the needs. The most important is the need of the people. So at the same time, the cost of producing or serving that. So that has to be met. So that has to be planned taking into ideas of the customers as well as the people who are allocating the resources. So that is that one. And we have to see the technical side also. So when we have to sacrifice something for some other thing, so always there is a kind of dissatisfaction of some people. So we'll have to make choices. That is a very big issue that has to be understood by everybody, and everybody has to be able to sacrifice something. I think I explain in that. I give that answer.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Go for the next slide.
Yes, please. Yes. Chips in the curve. That is important. Little bit or more, please. Yeah. Now you see our arrows, green arrows. That is a very important step in the economy, because we are expanding our abilities to produce more food, more clothing. Now that is what we need. For example, our economy needs a lot of inputs, lot of investment in higher education, skill generation, and technical knowledge, and almost all the basic things in life we have to increase. So more and more investments is required to increase our abilities. That is the challenge economy has at the moment. Therefore, PP1 is the present level, maximize. If we maximize, there will be in one of these points. So PP2 is the next target. Say PP1 is, say, 1 trillion of economic assets. PP2 is 2 trillion of economic assets. So if we reach towards 2 trillion of economic assets, that means there's a wonderful chance for us to allocate more resources for the education, health, and for general welfare of the people, as well as save some money for the future. So this is the expectation of everybody. For a microeconomic unit like family always tries to increase their income, and we want to increase as a family. The other family also wants to increase their income as a family. So that is individual abilities. So likewise in the economy, we have an overall economic capacity we have to achieve. But that is a question now asked by so many people. Whenever we are increasing, the government is going to increase more and more ministries, more and more ministers to the cabinet. So people always ask, do we increase production or do we increase just the number of cabinet ministers? That is a vital question. So somebody has suggested, whenever we are increasing more and more cabinet ministers, there is a possibility of increasing production. I do not see that logic, because according to the data, what is the contribution of the existing government and so on. So anyway, rather than talking much politics, we go to this economic theory to understand the presence.
There's somebody raised a hand from the audience, Veeraratna. I think, yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you can raise a question, Stanley.
I do not hear.
Yeah, I saw the hands being raised, but okay, let's go on. Yeah, let's go on. Yeah, thank you.
So any questions about this production possibility, please? Did you understand? Did you all understand that, please? Not only Sri Lankan economy, but all the economies in the country.
Ranjan has raised a hand.
Silva raised hand, yes.
Ranjan, yes.
Dr. Gunatilaka, thank you for that excellent presentation to increase awareness on economic or financial literacy or economic literacy. I learned a lot from what you have said. A few clarifications.
Yeah.
With regard to what we don't have. Mention was made to what we don't have.
Yeah.
Well, even the developed countries did not have everything. Even the developed countries. even the Western developed countries still do not have certain vital resources
Yes,
sus-
of course, yes.
to sustain their economies. Well,
Yes,
how did they get them? What they did not have. Take another example.
actually,
Take another example. Japan has virtually
yeah,
nothing. You see,
yeah,
all the resources, raw materials are imported. It is with those imported raw materials they were able to successfully produce the
yeah,
second biggest economy in the world after America
yeah,
until China came along.
yeah.
Another example is Singapore, which does not have even water.
That's right, yes.
So they have become economic giants. You see,
Yes,
I think this what we don't have, if we don't have any, nobody has anything, nobody has everything. No country has.
yes,
But
yes,
what I think we need is the correct mindset. Correct mind.
yes,
Get what we don't have and overcome those obstacles and move forward. In Sri
yes,
Lanka, in Sri
yeah,
Lanka, somehow in Sri Lanka, the intellectual leadership, you see, the thought leaders, the intellectual
yeah,
leadership, the universities, you see,
yeah,
our education system, the
yeah.
university did not create that kind of mindset. So
That's right, yes,
this is one of the fundamental failures of the entire educational system. You see,
yes,
they,
yes,
they did not leave room. They did not promote positive thinking. You see, it
yeah,
it
positive,
it
yes,
may be that this must be coming out of our religious culture. You know, Buddhism is a fatalistic religion, negative, very negative. See, so they think of the karmic influence, so that may put you straight away from birth on
yeah,
a negative road.
yeah.
I think this is one of the fundamental weaknesses that resulted in our economic downfall. Thank you.
Yes, you are correct. Some of the things we need, among them is the mentality. Now, and the other one is we are believing in fatalism. And people always say that is our fate. So whenever somebody gets a good job, that is good because of the karmic effect. And if somebody says production has lost agriculture, that's our fate. And so we have to throw away some of these concepts, but so we have to go by the values of the country also in mapping out economic strategies. And as you said, Singapore and Japan, they are rich, they have a lot of foreign exchange earnings, so they are able to sustain their economic performance. Unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of that kind of a foreign exchange ability, as you all know. So at the same time, you mentioned a vital important thing, that is the educational system in the country. And we need more and more technical people, knowledgeable people in the modern day subjects. For example, languages. How many universities teach the languages required to help the tourists coming to the country? Now, many tourists are now coming from Soviet Russia. So we need to support them in the cultural triangle when they are visiting. But how can we talk to them? Who can talk to them about the history of country, history of the ancient kingdom and all? So a lot of new modern languages needed to teach, modern technology has to come. And so not just the physical things, so many other non-physical things also. So we should be able to think about growing our production possibility by looking at all those kind of things called factors of production. Factors of production, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. How many people are entrepreneurs who are creative, who are making some kind of new innovation and all. Innovation is an important subject. I know in some universities innovation is taught, but are there any innovation hubs? Are there any business exhibitions in the country? So therefore, a lot of things have to start. Okay, Professor Chula.
Yeah, there's another question from Herat. Herat Gunatilaka, yes, you can ask, please.
Please.
Herat Gunatilaka, yes, he has raised the hand. Are you there? Can you hear us? I think you may be muted.
I can hear, but
Herat, your time to answer question. I think he may not be hearing. Okay, let's go on. Yeah,
no.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's go on, Walter. Anything?
Yes.
Okay.
So now see this graphical presentation again shows we are at the moment of producing X item of food and clothing within the production possibility curve of 1. So we need to increase our production. So there are a lot of things, not just the mindset, but physical items like capital, raw materials, technical knowledge, and so many things to increase in the economy. So that is what we are trying to do with this program as well, creating a kind of knowledge base for us as economists, so policy planners in the country and for the younger generation. Okay, Dr. Chula, we'll go. Right. So in any economy, shall we go to a bigger chart, please? We have interactive with so many things. Yes. Now you will see how the real economy works, and manufacturing sector, that is the company building is here, and they are producing a lot of goods and services, and consumers are buying. Consumers mean here not just individual people like you and me, but the government is also a consumer. Provincial council is a consumer, and the hospital is a consumer. Hospital consumes a lot of things. Hospital needs beds, hospital needs medicine, hospital needs many other services like electricity and water supply. So the factories supply them all. So in turn, they spend some money. So that is coming to the investor or the manufacturing plant. And so that is how real economy and monetary economy starts. Blue lines of the real economic activity. Goods and services are provided to the consumers. Consumers mean not just the population of the people, but it consists of the government, semi-government organization, and all the companies and all. So therefore, there are so many type of consumers, and consumers pay back for their purchases. As a result of that, their companies get income. At the same time, we consumers have all the resources also. For example, we have the power, we have knowledge, we are selling our knowledge to the producing plant. We are servicing with our knowledge in IT. we are laborers. Sometimes we are going and working as laborers. Therefore, there will be a possibility of getting employment opportunities. So now you see, when these are interacting, both producing plants as well as the consumers effectively and efficiently, economic cycle activates very well. So this is called circular flow of goods. At the moment, what is happening in the country is economic sectors like the industry is unable to produce, unable to buy raw materials, unable to pay the workers, unable to pay other production services. Therefore, there is a stagnated economic stagnation that is called. And therefore, there is no way of looking into the possibility of activating this side due to the current problems in the economy. So therefore, there is a problem of consumption. People or the companies are unable to buy things because they are not able to sell their services to the industry because industry is unable to buy, right? So this is the basic problem in the economy at the moment. So, but this is not a big problem for the developed countries because developed countries have economic resources, foreign exchange. At the same time, if you look at from the political perspective, if UK has a problem, it can just dial Biden in America, President, we need $100 billion of US dollars for us. He will authorize in one stroke of pen. But if we ask the same money, it takes so many months now. IMF is taking so many months, evaluation, analysis, and preparing reports, discussion, because we are a poor country. That is the political side of that anyway. So we'll go for the other. Any questions, please, about this?
Yeah, there is in the question on the comment. It's good if you can take that up as well. This comes from Saman Amarkon. He says one of the biggest problems in Sri Lanka is the ability for politicians and senior government bureaucrats to own businesses. This is a conflict of interest as they can hijack the economy as they have the power. So should not there be effective legislation to prevent this?
Of course, this is one of the factors very important to look at, legislation and the corporate governance. I know it by practice because I was in the Bank of Ceylon. I know some of the companies are given more than by years, even without the application process. Before the application is getting approved, money is released for some of the people, some of the politicians, some of the big companies. And in turn, I have heard this is anecdotal evidence, and those powerful managers those times and their sons, daughters are educated in developed countries. Who is paying for that? The companies which have got the money as loan facilities. So that is a very important one, but effective legislation, we have adequate law. Law is not efficient in the country. Law is not used as an effective tool to make all these correct. That is the problem of the country. So many laws are, so many commissions and presidential commissions, which has made anything good? I don't know. So many. This is a very good area for a research project actually. This legislation and the lack of adequate legislation. That is one of the worries.
Has raised hand for a question.
Can I speak?
Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you. 3 points. One, reference to tourism. You know, sometime very recently, a lawmaker mentioned in Parliament that some of the tourists who come to Ceylon, they are acting as barbers. They are tinkers, they're welders and tinkers, and they don't bring any income to Sri Lanka. They are coming here to earn their living. In other
That's
words,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
and they are some of them are climbing coconut trees to pluck their own coconut, kurumba. See,
Uh-huh.
depriving the tree climber, poor tree climber in Sri Lanka earning a few cents. See,
That's
this,
right. Yes.
this is the quality of tourists that Sri Lanka is attracting.
Attracting. Yes.
We
Yes.
are we have not our total number of tourists coming does not still come to even 1 million. Whereas
Yeah.
in Thailand, today's papers report in Thailand last month they attracted 10 million.
10
Thailand?
million. Yeah.
Thailand,
Yeah.
10 million. In fact, it is even more than that. The number is even more than that in Thailand. So anyway, last
Yeah.
month they had attracted 10 million. So
Yeah.
so this tourist industry in Sri Lanka, I'm very doubtful about the money they bring, or I'm wondering whether we are now quietly, insidiously, you see,
Yeah.
in fact, these lawmakers warned the parliamentarians that the way these tourists who come to Sri Lanka are behaving, you see,
Yeah.
some of them might get knifed. That was the word he used. You see,
Yeah.
because the local people are going to get very angry
Yeah.
when these tourists who are supposed to bring money here, dollars,
Yeah.
are depriving of the rupees also of our
Of
local.
course. Yes.
So he mentioned that. That's one. Huh? Then
Yeah.
I fully agree with what someone has said. I fully agree. You see, this conflict of interest between politicians and business. In this
Yeah.
respect, Saman and others,
Yeah.
I like to refer, very little is mentioned, I like to refer to the ARs and FRs.
Yeah.
I don't know whether some of us even remember what AR and FR are.
Yeah.
Administrative regulations and
And
financial
financial.
regulations, which
Yeah.
were formulated by the Britishers during colonial rule.
Yeah.
Under those regulations, I have gone through them. You see?
Yeah.
Under those regulations, no government servant can do any business.
Yes. Yes.
No government servant can do any business. You see, if he wants to do
Yeah.
anything, or even if he wants to buy, say, some property belonging to the state, a car, for instance, he has to get
Yeah.
permission.
Of
See?
course. Yes. Yes.
Now we have nothing. Mr.
That's right.
Felix Dias,
Yeah.
he revised these rules. I
Yeah.
wonder to what extent for political benefit and to what extent those revisions were intended for the country's benefit. You see?
Yeah.
So you see, what is absolutely necessary at the moment is any new government
Yes.
must bring a political code of conduct for all politicians
Yes.
with legal empowerment. Say, for instance, a person like the election commissioner to enforce it. Today, today, we all know politics is big business and not
Politics
government.
is a big business. Yes.
Big business and it is not government. You see, government has taken second place. See, it's a very, very, very serious matter, and I think someone hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
We are always talking that we are a third point, a developing country. We are a poor country. You see, if we are a poor country, we have only got ourselves to blame. Nobody else. You see,
nobody else. Nobody else.
And we are not a developing country. We are not a developing country. We are an undeveloping country. See, we are going backwards. See, let us face the reality. the Sri Lanka, the government, English Britishers handed over a developed country, meaning,
Yeah.
you see, they did not, there wasn't a single, Sri Lanka was not a single cent in debt. That is the
Yeah.
economic state in which the state of the economy of Sri Lanka when it was handed over. Today we are
Yeah.
totally in debt. So what does
Yeah.
that show? Does that show that we are a developing country? That shows we are an undeveloping country. You are going backwards.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I have an example of the law, effectiveness of law in Canada. There was a man in the UK about few years ago. He went to Canada to see his girlfriend. And while staying at a home, he was repairing home. And the neighbor complained to the police, and this man was taken to the police and charged with the exploitation of employment opportunities in Canada for the Canadian citizens. And he was deported back to UK. Now see the effectiveness of law. In Sri Lanka, there is no law. At the same time, when there is law, there is no effectiveness. So that shows that pluckers from India and China, they pluck coconut and all, so getting the opportunity of the local people to work. So that is a classic. So as you suggested, we talk about the theory, we talk about the things we need to do, but everything is subject to the effectiveness of law. And this has been documented very well in corporate governance studies by a lot of researchers in other countries, as well as by Sri Lankan researchers as well. So I believe our topic of circular flow of income between units of industry as well as the consumer is adequate. Shall we go ahead, Dr. Chula, please? Now, yes. So this circular flow of income is very important for everybody, because this particular unit industry means just example of an economic activity, but there are so many economic activities in any economy. Now in Sri Lanka, being a agricultural country, we have rice production, we have processing industry, we have services industry, we have garment industry, so many industries. All of these are very important for the people to get employment opportunities. That is why this arrow shows sterling pound must be Sri Lanka rupees going to the people or the consumers, and the contribution is, their contribution is rewarded by wages, rent, dividends, or share income, and so on, right? So to activate the economy, both parties is very important. Activation interaction between the industry and the consumer. Consumer means the government, provincial councils, factories and garment factories, and so many, all these individual institutions. So we can go ahead for the, so as Dr. Ranjan De Silva said, effective governance, effective law is very key, fundamental need of the day. And all the developed countries, as I said about the Canadian man, UK man going to Canada and going to repair the house, he was deported because he was taking the chance of a Canadian man to get jobs. And so that kind of an effectiveness must be there. We don't see that kind of an effectiveness in law. Only few parliamentary MPs talk about that as well. So among them, I don't want to tell the names, not to talk about their names, but we have a kind of very big respect for some of them, like Dr. Harso De Silva and so on. We see anyway. The other slides, please.
Can I just raise a quick question before you move to the next slide? Now, say this
Yes,
consumer,
please.
now you have this arrow consumer expenditure, right? Now,
Yeah.
what happened in Sri Lanka maybe last 2 decades or something, you wrote lots of
Yeah.
external loans. And that actually
Yeah.
increases the consumer expenditure. That's what happened. So all that money went to various people. But then
Yeah.
it did not result in any improvement in economy. It has it.
That has not expanded the production possibility curve.
So
That is what you are going to say.
No, that's okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, all right. Okay. So even if you get loans, then increases consumer expenditure. You have to expand the curve. It should result in
Yeah.
expanding of the curve.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then where has gone that particular big chunks of money coming from foreign countries? So we have to investigate that. Where are the investments? And why is it not going to increase the production possibility of the country? So something has gone wrong. So there is no kind of a transparency in that. So there is no way of understanding central bank is sleeping. Central bank has no up-to-date data. You don't believe, Sri Lankans don't believe sometimes, if I say, these countries don't believe Central Bank of Sri Lanka data, companies even. Okay, now we'll go ahead, please. Now look at the economic systems in the country. And there are basically, as you all know, we all know about communist economic systems, capitalist economic systems, mixed economic systems. And in the modern day world, not a single economy is totally planned. Like in the older days, Soviet Russia, China was totally planned by the government. At the moment, North Korea still has some kind of private enterprises. There is no totally pre-market also. Pre-market means the market decides what to produce, how to produce, who is to get that production or the income and so on. Pre-market means depending, decided everything by the price in the market. If the price is going up, there's low demand. If the prices going up in the resource market, say manpower resources, they will increase manpower resources. And so pre-market is the place where everything is decided by the demand and supply forces. The government is totally absent from any economic activity. But that kind of economic system is not in any world. In developed countries, in UK, USA economy, and Japan, Australia, New Zealand, in some countries in Europe also, there are free markets, but not 100% free. Government has an intervention, especially in the long-term investment projects like hydroelectricity power, nuclear power, education, social welfare, healthcare. Now in the UK, National Health Service, NHS, is by the government because they are vital social issues, social contribution for the benefit of the entire society. At the same time, there are private hospitals. And Professor knows a lot because in the health industry works. And there are no totally planned economy. Only in the North Korea at the moment, I think more than 90% of active economic planning is done by the Korean government, because that is why it is a very different economy. There was such a system in Cuba. Cuba is also now inviting investments from American and other countries. So there are some enterprises jointly done by government and the private sector. So therefore, in between these planned economy and total pre-economy, there could be some tilting towards the left, that is planned economy, some are going towards the free market economy, depending on the political philosophy of the country. Now in USSR, political philosophy is about always communism. In China also same. So at the same time, Chinese government is encouraging business people, inviting others, but they are controlling, they are managing the economy with lot of effective law and regulations. That's the difference. So we'll go. So these are in between, therefore, we will be seeing the fluctuations towards more and more capital systems, some of these, France, UK, USA, Hong Kong, in between social economy and government economy here, private economy in France. In UK, there are so many government sector as well as private sector in early 2020s, right? Totally planned economy, North Korea, yes. Okay, that is enough, I think. What is our economic system, therefore? In Sri Lanka, I think it is a mixed economy. Mixed economy, government sector, as well as the private sector, both work out. Major projects like irrigation projects, education projects, and health projects. And the health industry, they are managed by the government, because for the private sector, it is difficult to invest such a large amount of money. But now we see a lot of private hospitals coming up, not only in Colombo, but in other cities, Kandy, Colombo, except Colombo, Kandy, Jaffna, and Anuradhapura. Even in Balanguda, my hometown, there are few private hospitals along with the government hospital. So now it's a kind of mixed economic systems now. It's good. It's a good position for the economy. Okay. So we'll go the command economy, and I just explained about the North Korean government is always planned by the government, and private sector participation is virtually nil, and we have no data about that kind of an economy because it's highly militarized government in North Korea, so they don't release data. We forget about that at the moment. Okay. This also, there is no possibility of seeing a command economy coming to Sri Lanka. There won't be any communist government. All the parties, leftist parties, have accepted mixed economic policies. They have understood the contribution private sector can do for investments and for the government economic goals and for social development as well. So therefore, in the modern day world, I don't see any command economy other than the North Korea. North Korea is a special matter for everybody because they are different from other economies. So usually we don't want to talk about that. We don't get any kind of benefit or any lesson because they are a closed economy. Yes, please. Now, as I said, problems of gathering information, and that is very, very lacking area in the economy of North Korea. Nobody releases economy. If somebody has released any information, he will be getting the capital punishment in North Korea. So nobody likes that kind of an economy. Okay, I think we have few more slides to discuss about. So everybody now understand the vital importance of free market economy since 1980s. Mid-1980s, Soviet Union collapsed with Mikhail Gorbachev introduced two policies, as you all know, openness and restructuring the economy. And so therefore, private economic activities are flourishing in earlier socialist economies like Russia, Cuba, and China. So they have accepted the importance of the private contribution for the economic activities, because people have kind of energy quite different from the government energy. So there are basic needs of people to do something. That is the idea behind the pre-market economy. So let the people do what they can do. So then the people will be happy. They will be able to make a contribution. That's the idea of the pre-market economy. So the government has to maintain only the law and order. But we in Sri Lanka cannot make 100% pre-economy like that. That could be a wild economy. What has happened is that. So wild economy, there is no regulation, no effectiveness or law and order. But in developed countries where there is a pre-market economy, there is regulation, there is law, effectiveness of law. And that is why I gave the Canadian example. Nobody can go to Canada to see their girlfriend or boyfriend and work at home, even some domestic work. It could be penalized. So in any economy in developed countries, there is effective law, effective regulations. So that is very important for Sri Lanka to understand. Unfortunately, it's not there, right? So all the demand supply decisions, all economic decisions, what is to produce, how is to produce, how much quantity is to produce is taken, those decisions are taken by the market forces. What is demanded in the market, that will be produced. That will not be discarded. So it has to be produced and distributed. The consumer demands, we produce. And the price is decided by the demand and supply forces. But unfortunately, that is not done in many developing countries, although they say they like private market economy because of the intervention of the government. It's not only in the investment or production side, but even allocation of loan facilities. As I said at the beginning, also, there's allocation of a lot of credit facilities to many of the enterprises belong to some politicians or their families. But this is not only happening in developing countries, but even in the developed countries. For example, in Italy, that is happening. The politicians in Italy, they disturb the newcomers. They don't want to get any newcomers to some time. So there are a lot of barriers. Barriers means lot of circulars, lot of interventions by even sometimes in developed countries. Okay, so there is no 100% effectiveness. Okay, we'll go for that, please. Oh, these are more economic concepts. I have these slides, but I don't think that we need to look at that. Always when there is a shortage, demand for goods versus supply for goods, then what happens is when the demand is high, supply is short, the prices go up. That is the idea of this. If the demand is low, prices in the demand is low, when supply is big, prices go down. So that we understand by looking into the vegetable market in Sri Lanka, as well as employment opportunities available for certain kind of university degrees in the country, there is more supply than the demand. And therefore, some of the sectors are lacking the skills. So the price or the wage, salary is going up always. So therefore, price or the wage is decided by the size of the market, demand and supply. That is the idea. So this particular one, price mechanism is applicable for the industry, consumer industry, as well as for the labor industry also. For example, our salary is decided by demand and supply. If the demand is more, but the supply is low, salary is going up. If the supply is more than the demand, the salary goes down. That is what is we see always in our countries as in. So we'll see that please. So factor market. So the factor market also same. Factor markets mean factors of production. We all need labor. We need labor mean both raw labor, labor, skilled labor, unskilled labor, and so on. We need skilled labor like managers, professional managers who have experience. They are in the high end of the factor market. And we need semi-skilled people. We need less skilled people. So that is, they are in the labor market, all are labor market. And then another factor is the production factors, entrepreneurship. That is a rare commodity, I think. Entrepreneurship means the ability to invest money with a certain degree of uncertainty. Not very, we can see very few entrepreneurs take risks in investing money. Sometimes if we read the biography of the business people, they may say they have invested, they have suffered, but they have continued their hopes and beliefs and take risks and all. So those are the characteristics of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship also one of the factors. So very important factor market also is decided by the price is decided by demand and supply. So we are finding very difficult in Sri Lanka to find entrepreneurs. How many entrepreneurs we have seen in the last say 5-10 years time? Very few entrepreneurs. There are a number of factors for that. One thing is the fatality concept of our own religion. Sometimes we are we depend too much on fatalism. Everything is fatalism. So sometimes investors put some money and they do not get adequate income, or they are closing, they think that's our fatality. They don't take it as a learning curve. So they are difficult situations, right? Please, we'll go too many slides, I think. So there are a lot of advantages of a pre-market economy. As we all know, we have a lot of opportunities in the pre-market economy because there are opportunities, advantages for so many. And bureaucracy or the government politicians has nothing to do. The government has to do only law and order, effectiveness of law and order, and people have to decide. This economic theory, actually speaking, has a kind of belief that man essentially a selfish one. So when somebody is selfish, according to this man theory, he or she has the opportunity of achieving something at a very greater height. So let him do it. That is the philosophy behind economic policy in the free economic market. That was said by Adam Smith in 1776. So the government has to do only the necessary environment for the people to work, for the people to engage in the industry. Then they will choose a particular opportunities. They have the chance to, they have at the same time the knowledge. That is the assumption. So as I said at the very beginning, economics is all about assumptions. Economic decisions are taken as on assumptions. So these are good number of assumptions. So we are having some kind of benefits of economic systems also. So at the same time, there are disadvantages always, because distribution of income, and there are so many rich people and so many poor people classified as proletariat. So poor people, they have only the opportunity of selling their labor, and economic people or the enterprises will be guided only by profit, not by the social welfareness. So therefore, many say they are greedy and selfish and so many things, but these are unavoidable. But at the same time, a good government, a pre-market economy, if there is a good government, there is a kind of way of redistribution of the income generated in the economy by taxing higher people, higher income brackets are charged a higher tax. And in turn, the poor people who are suffering from economic problems, they are rewarded or they are paid a kind of benefit. So there are benefit schemes. So they are actually, we can see in many developed countries, that kind of benefit schemes in the UK as well. So we'll go for that, please. So in the UK, now in explaining economics thinking, I was drawing attention for the need of ideas of the people to decide whether they need this or that economic sectors and so on. So that is therefore economists have to think the need of the society, not just pure economy modeling. And the government and the politicians have to listen to the society, have to listen to the economists as well. And so then only we can expect a very good position, very good growth curve for the country, right? So this is called normative economics. Normative economics mean what do we need? How do we need? What are the norms we should have? Those are the things people have to come and tell, like the one we are now going to try. And so there is a wider contribution needed for that kind of impelling story for the government. So we economists have a big role, that is the importance of. At the same time, as I said at the very beginning, some of the economists also are not taking these issues seriously, but for their private benefits, joining the politicians and the bureaucrats. That is the wrong side of economists, right? Then that we see always. So I think I explained almost all of the slides I had. So I believe I made a kind of some contribution without knowing the background of the participants. I don't know how many economists, how many are social scientists, and so on. I think Professor Chula, I did my level best for you today.
No, I think you did you did very well, Walter. I think you gave a little introduction to the economy, and that's fantastic because I think you will probably come again and explain a little bit more focused into Sri Lankan issues. So and then talk a little bit more. We normally conclude at 2 hours. We don't go beyond that because of various needs. So 2 hours is the maximum. So we got another, say, 20 minutes or so. If anybody's got questions, any questions there? Yeah, Ranjan has raised a hand again. Ranjan, yes.
Once again, Walter, thank you very much for that very educative presentation.
You're welcome.
I personally benefited a lot from what you have said, what is now required, you see, when I'm trying to relate what you said to the current Sri Lankan context. My analysis, my understanding of the problem is the main reason for Sri Lanka's economic downfall, the main reason is the failure was was the absence of sufficient financial literacy among the polity. Now,
Yeah.
you see, if the people were sufficiently made aware of the consequences of the policy decisions the politicians they were electing were making,
Yeah.
you see, probably we would not have gone bankrupt. So now there is a great omission here. Now, what you have said, the valuable stuff that you have said, a few of us now here know, but there are 22 million or so, say about 15 million voters. We need to pass this message to them. See,
Yes.
we need before the next election. Otherwise, they will fall in, this country will fall into the same trap, you know.
Of course.
So
Yes. Yes.
we have to think of a way, you and I and the few of us listening to you, or can't make a difference to the outcome and produce the change that we are expecting in another 2 or at the next election. It may
Yeah.
be next year, it may be 2 or 3 years later. Now, how do we fast track this and broadcast this message and educate the literacy, uplift the literacy level of the people so as that we can achieve our objective? Over. I leave that question, if you can help us, Walter.
I think we all have kind of groups. Now, in my group, I was in the Bank of Ceylon. I had the chance of working a lot of managers. Before starting this session, yesterday I sent this link to everybody to participate, word by word, if this is going, because that should be one way, sharing our knowledge among our all participants as well as among our friends who all are working or retired at the moment, because they have been key decision makers or contributors for the decisions, and it will take some time to get that understanding, but at least they will be our advertisers, right? That is one way.
Yeah,
At the same time, writing.
So we do actually record yours and then we will send a link to you so you can copy it to your friends again. So that's what we
Yes.
do. That's
Yeah.
another one way of doing it. Yeah.
At the same time, if we can write some papers or some articles to newspapers like, I think Lankadipa is one of the newspapers which always get the writings of many academies, and I see them always writing, and some of the industrial people as well. For example, Raigam entrepreneur Lianagi, he is a good friend of mine, and he is writing to Lankadipa, and a lot of people read that. So some kind of communication like that, I believe, as well as mini workshops by people who are in Sri Lanka and so on. I think there are many ways to look at, and ideas have to be come from so many people, I think.
That's good. So if you can tell us how to propagate the knowledge, that would be good. We are trying to do some workshops and everything. So fantastic. I think you're going to do a talk again at some point. So let us know when and how to proceed. Are there any other questions? If not, I'm just going to share a very short video. This was shared with me by Professor Kapila. And I will conclude at the end of that. It's mainly for you to know this because the coconut plucking came into question during your discussion. And my presentation in this video is to see whether there's any of you know or interested in developing this, what you are seeing in Sri Lanka as a project, as an entrepreneur, as you mentioned. So we can conclude with a positive note saying, yes, we are trying to help this kind of people. So I'll share this video, and then if you have any comments, you can pass it on immediately after that. And then we can talk from there. Just a second.
Yeah.
Our coconut, what's your name? Jelly man? Coconut tree man, and he's going to show me right now how him reach up the tree. Lord have mercy. I just had to get it on video. Go, I've got you now, Clint. Go.
Ready?
Yes, man. Lord have mercy.
To show you how this thing works, right? I'm going all the way up, okay?
What? Boy,
All the way up.
Lord have mercy. Ah! That's amazing.
That's so cool. Look at that workout. William would love to do that.
Yes.
If I want to, I can go all the way up.
Wow. Into the tree.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, pause.
Let me show you one more step. Let me show you one more step. You could also go around the tree.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
This is a coconut run right here.
This
Yeah,
is
man.
so he can go around the tree.
Come back down.
Let's come back down.
You can climb up from there.
He must have amazing ab strength,
Tell me about it.
and he's tiny.
William would love this video.
William
this
would love
workout.
this. I'm gonna send William this video.
Okay, I'll stop there. So here we go.
Yeah,
Do
that's a very
little-
nice video.
little project to solve the problem. So if there's anyone
Yeah.
interested, we should support this kind of people. I'm sure you can produce this in Sri Lanka. We can produce a small education video so people can be advertised that such a thing is available.
Yeah.
Then there'll be people
Yeah.
who can join and look into the safety of this thing. So you have a little bit of introduction about the safety and so on. So this is the way to start. So we can easily do
Yeah.
that. So if there's anyone you know, please email us. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Anything
No
else?
problem.
If not, I can
Yeah.
stop. there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. So in another session, I will talk about the financial literacy.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
The economy. Today, I did the background work for that, discussing the fundamentals in an economy required to understand. We must have the theory, otherwise you cannot discuss the bigger things. And
Yeah,
so I
great.
laid the
Okay.
foundation for that today.
Yeah.
I
great.
laid the
So-
foundation.
Yeah, very good. Just to say
Thank
that,
you.
there's so many difficulties in getting people joining exactly at the same time for the meeting. So that's why we record it and send it. And usually
that is
about
good.
50 to 100 people watch the video. So after
That
sending
is
it.
good,
So-
very good.
So we are quite effective in trying to get the message across at the moment. So we'll
Yeah.
keep going, and please let me know when you are talking next about this. And also,
Yeah.
it's good if you can develop some kind of plan with your colleagues or something. Say, put
Yeah.
down things that are necessary to turn around the economy in the country. So, like,
Yeah.
the fundamental steps that we need to do to turn around the economy. So, like the legislation that we talked about today about, business involvement by politicians. So things like that
Yeah.
have to stop. So that's a very
Mm.
good point that brought out today. So fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for your talk, and also thank you for everybody else who
you.
joined. And we'll see you again next week. There'll be interesting topic coming up. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walter.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.